Okay folks, welcome to the second kick, the roundhouse kick. A quick recap if you've been following along or you're just joining in or whatnot. The first one we did is the front kick, one of the most legendary basic ones. Great for starting you out, okay? And basically it's using your prop or not, all right? Whichever leg it is, it's up, okay? Make sure your foot is down, toes pointed up, okay? And once you reach that point where you can't go anymore and you're about to fall down, it's a thrust out. Keeping your hands up or at least giving a little balance and pull back in and pull back down, right? If you can't get that quite yet, then it's up a little as much. But the point is, don't be throwing, reach some point and then out and then back in and back in. Do it all slow at first, work your way to the joint, but when you are ready, or anyone who is interested in turning it into a very effective kick or whatever, you're going to have to lock your joint on it. In fact, locking the joint at the end of the motion promotes actually good results. Not doing that, like I have sometimes guarding it because I had an injury and stuff, doing something, that's when you're causing your injuries and stuff. When you think that you're going to snap but not do the lock, I'm telling you, it's a lot worse. Get the lock in. So don't be afraid. You got to get the lock in and stuff. And everything proper and stuff. Work your way to that if you can. If you can't, then don't ever do it and just do the exercise motion and just do the soft, okay? But the whole fact that you have balance through the soft is very difficult. It's almost easier to be in full motion and just finish it and come back than to be controlled and, okay? Roundhouse kick. So what you just saw, pretty simple. It's a continuation, which is perfect, with some extra specific details. A roundhouse kick, it's coming around. It's a great intermediate kick. The instant one is real deadly. It has 2 foot positions and stuff. The basic common one, the frequent one, the fun one, the whatever, one version of it or whatever, you're hitting with the arch, the top of your foot. You're hitting with the top. You're hitting with the top part of your foot. Okay? You smash into somebody's body, you better have a really great roundhouse kick. If you do the ribs, you might break something. If you have an average one, you're not going to do much. I'm telling you right now, whatever. There's no debate about it. That's just how it is. And especially if you're in winter gear with people or whatever, and you're going to throw a roundhouse kick, and you're going to hit somebody with the arch of your foot, you're not doing much. It's such an easy kick to block as well. Just a simple flinch blocks the kick. You catch somebody in the head with it, with the arch, that's fine. So, the other hardcore way, and a traditional way as well, is you hitting with the balls of the foot as well, like the front kick, with the toes tucked up, but there's a tilt, there's a rotation to the foot, okay? So, see if you can see this. See that? But it's not so that the foot is, okay? It's not so the foot's like that. The foot is still down for power, because once you lose that plane and you lock it this way, you have, now it's a whole battle of this. It's a whole battle of that. When you throw it in that plane, like a lot of people focus on stuff like that, you're throwing it on an angle plane to the rest of the bone and the body, whatever. It tends to, when on a lock, it tends to work really well. So be careful, do that very slow, because when you're learning it and when you don't have it down, you will smash your toes, guaranteed. So, it's like the front kick, but you see, it's like the front kick. Don't worry about it, but this way, okay? All right, so, excuse me, let's get this here. Roundhouse kick is coming from the outside. So if you try to do it like a front kick, you can, but that's much more complicated, and you'll eventually get to that in awesome, because it's much more deceptive. And one of the points is, even when you're doing a classic, basic roundhouse kick, is a lot of that initial deception, which is meaning that it's coming up like a front kick, but then you're rotating and switching and coming in. We're doing it all in steps and very pronounced and whatnot, but in a flow, And when you play with the planes, and you don't have to do as much commitment to the next chamber point, okay, you can come up and just sneak it, right? You can come up and front kicks, right? And sneak it in. But you got to do a lot of work because it's already a weak type of kick. If you're kicking to the body and you're kicking with people with clothes and things like that, it's already a suspect type of kick. All right, it's fantastic. Summertime, I'm all exposed. You do any kick to my ribs or whatever, you might be doing damage, but that's not always the case. Okay, so be careful. Now you're losing that extra. You see, come part. Now that the extra range, finishing range, when you're doing this sneaky one, sneaky. We'll get to that in other videos. All right. So what we have for your roundhouse kick, again, but you won't be doing the leaning as much. You're going to need your hand to brace yourself a little bit more. I mean, you could, but it's pretty difficult. You're coming up again, all right? And we're going to just do the arch one for now. But, okay, on the planted foot, watch that foot. It's critical. It pivots. It pivots to match parallel with the target. Right? Now, you see how that changed the plane and it has all that movement. The only other thing we have to do is get this off of the plane. There's two more checks that we need to do. Okay? Move that off of the plane, ideally. And you're going to spend time, you're holding this like a plank and stuff like that. Yes, you are going to spend time holding it there. You should feel it over here, you should feel it over here, you should feel it over here. If you're losing balance, that means you're leaning over too much like I am right now. So the second check that you're going to do, all right, you could hold it low. If you want, you can go high. The second check you're going to do, and oftentimes it's with the shoulder, all right, is bring the shoulder back. Get that arch back. Stop doing this because this is poor and you're going to wind up leaning and falling over half the time on any of your kicks and stuff. The pivot doesn't have to be 100% parallel. It doesn't. It can have a slight. But what it does have to do is it must pivot. Okay? So if you're in your sparring stance and you see how we're 45s or so, okay, it has to pivot. If you're not going to pivot, you're losing heaps of power, and that's just not part of the correct technique. A whole bunch of karate kicks do that. A whole bunch of kicks from in any type of thing have less pivots and stuff, but at least on the classic ones, and at least for any of your kicks, there's certain things and certain benefits that happen when you pivot, so it's important to pivot. And especially as you're getting older, and you're like me and stuff, and you still have some flexibility, but, okay, you get some, when you're young whippersnipper, you could throw a kick straight out of bed. One leg can be in concrete, and the other leg is just doing its own thing, okay? That's not the case for most of us. That's not the case for most of us anymore, all right? But it is, that's fine. But still, if you could do that without a pivot, add the pivot so that you could get the extra torque, the extra rotation, and the extra power. It gives you the extra range as well. What you're doing is you're compounding a physical area without needing the physical area to do that. You're getting it, and that's one of the sort of equivalent ideas of Tai Chi when you're churning the energy here in the torque. So you don't need to do your haymakers because it's coming from in here. All right. So we want to go here. We want to go up, pivot, fix your thing, check here. Another thing is you want to be looking down your line. Check here and boom. Okay. Again, hold on. Give yourself close. For this kick, the further you kind of are away from your prop, and the more you could go down, the easier it will be for now. The hardest version is staying up and doing the kick. That's the hardest one because the body wants to act like a fulcrum. It wants to act like a balance. And that's fantastic too. But obviously there's benefits if you could stay upright. Benefits from counters and benefits from not entirely being committed to the move. Okay, so if we're doing it step by step, get your distance that you're comfortable with your prop. All right, lift up, pivot, fix your position, Hold it there for a while if you want to hold it there. Play with it, practice it. Your foot is not this way, okay? It's arched back, all right? You could go really high up if you want, down, and then strike, lock. Make sure you're looking down your line, back, all right, and down, and stuff. The only thing that's going to change, one of the first things that's going to change is the step where you're bringing your chambered, okay, kicking leg to the proper plane. That will happen, that correction, or moving into the proper position, that will happen during the pivot. That's the first thing, one of the first things that will adjust and improve and happen, and that's also one of the first things that you should be working on, okay? So, let's watch that, okay? As we come up, the pivot and the proper chamber position happen at the same time, or pretty much at the same time. So once you start moving out of those steps, you can totally keep it low, okay? But the point is, the leg needs to come back a little bit, because if I just stay here, I gotta hit, okay? You see the line? You understand that line? Now, yeah, sure. Okay, so, up, rotate, strike. Come down, bring it back, bring it down, play with it. All right, when you're going slow, you're going to be really difficult to rotate. You can go up a little bit. Obviously, you're not, there's a little bit. Don't be extreme. Don't be to the point where it's a balancing act. But when you're going slow, your pivot on the way back and stuff will be very funny. So you may do this and stuff like that. If you're holding on, that's cool, okay? But you pivot back and stuff. For this exercise that we do, and it leads perfectly into the side kick, we get the wall, we come up, all right, and we hold that. If you want to grab your leg in order to get that extra, all right, you could totally do that. Hold it, all right, keep over here. You're going to feel it here. You certainly are going to feel it right there, all right. Make sure you tuck, play with this if you can. You get a little bit over here and stuff. And a good indication is your shoulder. Your shoulder will be the indication. All right? A lot of things, but the shoulder will be an easy indication. And the shoulder will be an easy way to also correct. Don't worry about the head. Tell your shoulder to go back. And it'll bring the head back with you and stuff. Okay? The beginning counterbalance stuff, watch. Out, in, out, in. So it's almost like for people, it allows their room so I could see, sort of, and stuff. Are there times when you come back? Oh, for sure. It's not as powerful as a kick. It's also much more dangerous on my body if I'm doing it improper, but sure. But you get to that a little bit later, okay? Just like you certainly can. Just like you certainly can go back. Okay, but in the beginning, so see how it was kind of all in one? You see how this, it's not entirely, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? But it certainly has to open up your groin. It certainly has to open that range up. This is much more easy than when you're going on this way. When you're not getting any of that pivot, you'll feel it. You'll feel heaps of things that are wrong. Stuff. Okay. Get the lock. Finish the lock. If you don't finish the lock and you think you're just going to snap without locking, you're going to wind up doing heaps more injuries to your kick, to your leg. You can keep it low, so long as your chamber is low. But again, don't be, because you're losing. Don't have, because then you're doing this. It's a flick kick, and unless you're looking to just play tag and have fun with points, the flick kick is utterly useless. Even a flick kick to the head. It's like slapping somebody. Yeah, you can have a really good slap and mess somebody up. When shit is on the line, I'm not going to rely on a slap to do my work. Alright, so garbage, junk. In advanced moves and stuff, it's different. Baiting somebody in, occupying them. But as a strike for damage, as a strike for self-defense, utterly useless. Stop it. One, bring it back. Don't be doing that shit. That's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing. Okay? All of your breathing, it's whenever you take a breath or whatever, but you're breathing out on your kick, okay? Same things, you could step down. After a while, don't waste all your kicks directly. Also, set them up. So you have your wall ready, or your chair or your prop. Set them up. Bait them in and stuff. Sometimes you can surprise. Sometimes you can. Other times, set them up. 1, 2, boom. See how the lead, see how the power brought you in, bringing you along. Obviously, this is a tricky one because they don't, but boom, boom, boom. Let's do the side kick.